Hi again. This is a second video, this time creating a slightly bigger part. We are frequently find that there are parts with standard shapes like this dual inline package, 16-pin package, that are used for microcontrollers or analog to digital converters or whatever, and so we have to create these. This is a part we used to use at VTC a few years back, and it's one we've created before, but we can see that in the EagleCAD system it doesn't exist. There are some similar parts. If I go look for this part, S908, doesn't come up. Actually, it's an S08, and a few parts come up. Here's some, but they're not really the same thing, and they're not in the small package. So we're going to create one. So let's get out of this. We want to put it in our library, so I'm going to bring up the control panel, and I have my other library there, the one that we created in the other video, and it has the light sensor in it. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to create a footprint for this thing, and I could get this from another source, but it doesn't take long to put it together. So we're going to go with a DIP 16, which is the standard industry standard name for this. Say yes to create it, and here's my little crosshatch, and I'm going to oops, I lost it. Where'd it go? Right here in the middle. I'm going to start placing pads, and I'm going to place them in a line horizontally 1 through 8, and then come up here and do 9 through 16. Right above it, I already know the spacing, so I'm going to use a square pad first. I'm going to make the diameter a little bigger, maybe that. I'm going to force the outer part to be big enough that I know I can attach to it. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure I'm using the correct pad number. So I'm going to come up here and do single quote 1, single quote, enter, and now I know I'm going to be putting pad numbers in. So there's the first one, and I'm going to come over 2 spots. I'm going to change that to a round, and then I can go pretty quick. This will be number 2, this will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I've got to come up 300 mils. So I'm looking up here at the coordinate tool. It's 100, 200, 300. That'll be the 9th pin, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th pin, and I'll hit escape and I'm out of there. And if I use the show me tool, it shows me pin 16, and this one is pins, hit it right, it'll be pin 6. So everything's numbered correctly. I'm all set. Be nice to put a little outline on here. I'm going to recenter this and then scale it back once. I'm going to use the wire tool here to draw a box. And this is really important when you go to final production, because they'll actually print this for you. And I'm going to put a kind of a fake little notch here to represent pin 1, hitting escape to get out of there. And then I can put the name in here, and again it helps to use the this code that they have, and let's put it right there. So we have the footprint. I'm going to save that, I'm going to go over to symbol and create the symbol for the S08. And this is actually the Q series, I think, so we'll call it that. And it's a new one. So now I need to build something that looks interesting, and this is where you need to be a little more imaginative, because you don't want to just build it like this. You want to take the time to organize it in a way that might be useful in the future. So if I come down here, notice how this is used in the schematic. Port A is all grouped together, port B is all grouped together, and they're numbered B0, B1, B2. And then we have some pins here for power and ground, some crystal pins, and what we want to do is make it look like this. So even though we know it'll eventually have to be wired like this and connected internally this way, we want to make it look good in the schematic, and this is a nicer looking schematic symbol. So this is what we're going to build, and I'm going to do it. I'll kind of go slowly at the beginning, but I'm going to skip some parts because we want to see it end. So wrong tool, let's go over here. We want to be in the this thing. We're in the symbol editor, and we need to draw a big box. So we're going to do a box, and again, as we did before, we'll kind of guess how big it should be, and then we'll kind of tidy it up later. So there's a box. And what I need to do is place some pins. So I'm going to start by placing those data pins. I'm going to turn this one around. I'm going to call these IO, because that's correct. And I'm going to label the first one P, single quote, PTA0. And that 0 is important. You always want to put the number at the end. I'm going to place it. And you know, I did this last time. I forgot to hit enter. So we're going to Control Z that away and do it again. Single quote PTA0, single quote enter, and I'm going to go click and see it's labeled, and if I click the next one, it auto increments the number. And so as I recall, there were 6 of these, but I'm going to go double check it, and that's here. And yes, up to A5, and the last 2 have special purpose, but I don't want to get involved in that right now. So now I'm going to come over here, and all I have to do is type again up here, single quote PTB0, single quote enter, remember the enter key, and then I can just start placing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I've already put in 8 plus 6, a whole bunch of pins, 14 pins. That's actually more than we need for that part. We're going to take a few of them out in a minute. But I need to also put in the power supply and the crystal pins. So I'm going to flip this over and come out this side, and I do need to bring the data sheet up because I don't remember what they're called. But there's VDD and VSS. We're going to do those two. We've got a background pin and a reset pin, and then an XTEL and an EXTEL pin. So actually 6 pins there we want to control. We don't use these 2 most of the time. We do need these 2 and those 2. So let's do that, and we got to figure out what's missing here. I suppose it's well, it's the reset pin. It's coupled to A5, and the background pin is actually here on A4. So we're not going to use those. We'll assume they're already in place, and it's just these last two that we need to complete the package. And let's just go double check that up here. And yeah, A4, A5, A1, A0. This goes around here with all the B's, and the only thing extra are the two power supply pins. So let's go put them in. And VDD is going to be, I don't know, I guess we could put it here. I want to change this to be power. And again, I want it to name it according to my style, so it'll be single quote VDD, single quote, enter, and then place it, and then single quote VSS, single quote, enter. And I could have changed that to ground, but I'll use their notation. So there's the whole thing. I can clean this up a little bit, make this a little shorter. I'm going to pause the video and do that, and I'm going to put the name at the top, and we'll see what happens. So now I've saved the symbol and the dip package. So I have them here. I just have to put them into a device. So I'm going to add a device. And again, I should probably go look up the exact name, but it's something like 9 S08Q. We'll call it that. Yes, we want a new one. And it gives me this thing, which is always a little odd looking. But what I want to do is put the symbol in there. And so I want this new one. Say yes. I'm going to place it here, and we always get into this situation where it loses that name. You can put it back in the schematic, but I'm going to do it here again just to force the issue. It's a 9 S08Q, and hit enter, and then we can place it. And again, this target in the middle represents the place where the mouse will be when you pull up this part. So it could be in this corner, it could be anywhere. I'm going to back that out a little and put it here. And there's the name at the top. Escape to get rid of that. I need to place the footprint in. It's a local thing. There's the dip 16, and there we have it. And all we have to do now is connect the dots. So we're going to need to compare this to the data sheet, and I'm going to do this and try to get the data sheet in here. And it's going to be a little messy, but I think if we put it off to the side here, we'll have enough information to do this. So I'm going to hit the connect box, and pin 1 is actually PTA 5. So we're going to come down here to PTA 5 and connect the two. And as you can see here, just working on a list, pin 2 is not visible, PTA 4. So we're going to take PTA 4, connect it to pin 2, say yes, and just keep going. I'm going to pause the video and pick it up in a minute. So now you can see I've completed the connections. I'm going to say OK. Everything is connected, the names are there, the pin numbers have come through, and notice it doesn't look like the pictorial view in the data sheet, because this is really a picture of the top of the integrated circuit, which has value, but it's not what you want in the schematic. This is a schematic symbol. The pins are labeled so we can, wire them up if we're breadboarding this, but we can see this symbol will be a lot nicer to wire into a circuit. It'll be easy to attach a power supply symbol there, a ground symbol here, and wire these in groups to the various ports. That's what you want to do when you're structuring the device symbol, and then we put in the standard footprint, and we use this tool to cross connect between these two and make it all work. I'm going to save this and then go look at it in the schematic. So I'm going to put this away. I'm already using this library, so I won't have to go through assigning the library. I just have to open the schematic. Here it is. I can, I should probably update the library just to be safe. But I can come in here, grab a part, and go down to the LS sensor library, which is not sounding as such a good name at this point, but it's good enough. There's my new part. And look, it looks exactly as we just saw. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to place this guy right there. And again, I should have named it first, but close enough for now. And we can always go in and change the name. I'm going to get rid of this. And then, again, I could change the name with this. But I'm going to go look at it. I want to look at the board. Here's the board. And if I zoom back out, there's the part. And again, it's very easy. The first part took a little longer. This one came together very quickly. Again, if you have a picture in your mind of how you want this to look on the board and how you want it to look on the schematic, and you usually get those two from the data sheet, but you can be creative with the schematic symbol. You can put something together really quick. And you can do diodes, you can do resistors, you can do anything you want. I'm going to make one more video modifying an existing part, because sometimes that's the easiest way to go. And go look that one up. Bye.